Frankie, the other day we did our weekly podcast and it was about 55 minutes long or something like that. But perhaps the most interesting thing you said to me was at the very end when you said Brentford on Saturday, Potter has to win. I want to know what you mean by that.
I guess what I mean by that is we just can't keep having these discussions after the matches going, oh, weren't it better? Wasn't it improved? I'm all for that. And it has been better and it has been improved and the football's been better and there's been so many positives. So I'm all for all of that. But at some point, it's got to turn into results. And I just feel like this is one of them moments where we know they're a good side. We know they're tricky for us and we've always found it hard against them. But I just feel like he can do it against them. We're at home. It's just time to win, Gio. That's what I'm saying. It's time to win. Let's go out there. Let's not have this, it'll come good eventually. And we can see, and I know he's got injuries. Lots of people have got injuries and lots of people are still winning football matches. So it's about time we won one. Plus, it's my birthday, Gio. So he's got to win because it's my birthday.
When is your birthday? On Saturday?
It's actually the 18th, so it's a couple of days after. But this is my birthday West Ham outing, you know?
Yeah, it's the closest one you're going to get, really, isn't it? We'll take it. Well, anyway, happy 49th on day. I hope you have a lovely day, wherever you're up to. But anyway, attention to Saturday. What would you like to see in terms of the lineup? Because it feels like the first time since he's come in that he's actually got options. I think his hand's been forced up until now. Then you look at the players available for this weekend. I think he's got a couple of big calls to make in every position, defensively, midfield, and in attack. Obviously, with Ward-Prowse and Ferguson joining the boys, and then we've got Alvarez and Paqueta back from injury. Tadebo's back from injury. Big squad. Is there anyone in particular you really want to see start, or would you leave out?
Kudus at wing back.
Is that what you want to see?
To be honest, I'm actually going to stick up for Gonzo a little bit.
Go on.
He got a little bit of stick for suggesting that. You know, when you play that back three, you don't necessarily always have to have that wide player that deep. And Kudus and the positions that he picks up. And to be quite frank, I also agree with Gonzo that I thought he worked his socks off in the last game. I thought he really did put a shift in. And I am with you. He isn't the sort of player who's going to win all of his duels. He just doesn't come out of them with the ball enough. So that is a concern. But in terms of pace, in terms of, cover on that right-hand side, if I'm honest, and this is the other question, this is what I would have loved to ask in that video at that moment, with the limitations on that side, if you put Wan-Bissaka into the back three, who would you rather see there and who gives you the most comfortable feeling that they can do the job defensively, but also who do you think is the bigger loss in attack? Would you put Bowen over there because he has played a deeper role and he does win his duels and he does get back and he can work hard down that side and has done in the past? Or do you want to see Kudus there? So, yeah, it's a really tough decision.
Was that question for me or for Gonzo or for both of us?
For both. Obviously, Gonzo ain't here. I can't ask him. But that's the question I would have asked at that moment.
I think who would work better at the two as a wing back? I think the answer would be Jared Bowen. I think he would be better at tracking back in the defensive side of his game. But I don't want to see Bowen in a wing-back role at all. I think it would be a waste of his talent. I think he's our most important player, full stop. I think he's our best player in the attacking aspect of the game. So I want to get him in the best possible position to benefit from that. And I'm convinced it will be the right-sided number 10 under Graham Potter, striker ahead of him. For now, while he's available, Lucas Paqueta next to him, because I think he's been the best player under Graham Potter so far, possibly, and someone else at wing back. And I think we may have to acquire that person in the transfer window, but between now and the end of the season, it would be Wan-Bissaka for me. I think he's done really well. And I don't want to see Kudus there. I think there would be some benefits because I think he would be able to... The biggest issue with Kudus... There's two. I think one is he doesn't release the ball at the right time all the time. He's quite greedy sometimes and can lose it when there's been options for him and he's decided to try and take on one more player and lose it that way. But the second issue is other teams do double up on him. They do when he gets it, they do go for him and make sure that he can't get up to pace and start running at their defence. Understandably so. But I think if you put him in the wing back role, I think you might make it very difficult for the opposition to double up on him. So you're really going to put two players right out on the left-hand side to keep an eye on him. And if you do, be my guest, because that will then free up the space for someone like Jared Bowen further ahead of him. So there would be some positives. It's just not for me. I don't think there's enough evidence to suggest it would work. And I don't really want to see it, to be honest with you. I think I'd rather see Wan-Bissaka at wing back. I think he's looked quite good in the last few weeks. And I still don't know the best position for Wan-Bissaka under Potter. Do you know, going into next season, is he going to be better at wing back or in the back three? Which one? I think he's looked really good in both positions. So that means he can be flexible. But I think we almost need, or Potter needs to decide by the end of the season, because if it's the back three, then we need a new wing back. If it's the wing back, then we need a new centre back. So I think that's why I would keep Wan-Bissaka where he is for now. So what would you do then? What would you do? What's your preference?
I do agree with you. It was interesting because I saw Gonzo get a bit of backlash. I just wanted to sort of thrash that one out, because if you're going to put somebody else down there, I think the only two options are Bowen and Kudus, and it makes it really difficult because
I think James Ward-Prowse is an option. I know you might swear a laugh or whatever, and a lot of people will be more anti that, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in that role now and again.
Yeah, maybe. I think he lacks the pace to do that, but wide on the right, getting in early. Again, if you haven't got that target man up front, which we seem to lack a little bit at the moment, deep balls from him, I just don't see it playing into his strengths. So I'm not really for that. But it's interesting, isn't it? And I'm with you. I think Wan-Bissaka's definitely best position is and people really knocked his attacking ability, but that was never my concern. If you remember back to when we signed him, I think he's lively. I think he causes problems. And I know, okay, you could say his crossing isn't the best and decision making sometimes is a bit suspect, but that's all coachable stuff. There's nothing in there that I don't think can, and I think we've seen him improve massively. And he, in that last game again, when we said what changes we'd make at half time, one of the things that we both wanted to see was him get forward more down that right hand side, because we felt he could cause problems. So he's a massive threat down there, and that's where he needs to stay for me, really. But in turn, that then does expose the back three. I know you're all right with Cresswell at the moment. I've not been that impressed with Cresswell. I think we've got away with it because of the system we're playing. There's so much cover. There's so much help around him that he's not being exposed. And that's fantastic. That's Potter looking at it and thinking, right, we've got this player. We don't want to hang him out to dry. We've got to make sure that the rest of the system and the rest of the players that we play are compensating for that weakness there, and we've coped with that really well. So I'm happy with that. But I just fear for it, if I'm honest. It's just, for me, it's just going to take one bad moment or one bad game, and we're going to lose a match because of it.
You're not wrong with that. I agree with that. I think it's there. I think there is a clear weakness with Cresswell, and it's there for someone to pick up and expose, but they've not done it yet. And also, like you said, I don't know if they've been allowed to do it, so whether that's still the case or not. But I think he's been good going forward. The Aston Villa game in particular, I thought it was him and Soufal, I thought were great, getting forward and supporting Wan-Bissaka, and then Emerson / Ollie Scarles on that side. So talk me through the 11 you want to see. I'm assuming Areola in goal, sticking with...
Yeah, you know what I'm like, Gio. I'm going to sit here and try and work out how to tactically beat Brentford. I like talking like what we just did with certain elements of a potential starting lineup, and let's thrash it out and see if it's a good idea. Pub talk, Gio, not manager talk. Pub talk. I like pub talk when it comes to a match. But I've been crying. I've been crying for Areola for a little while.
Yeah,
and I got a bit frustrated with the sticking with Fabianski thing. I thought it was time to make that switch again. And I'm glad we have done, because I thought Areola made some top saves in that last game, and it looks like he's interested again. So definitely that is one position that comes very easy for me to say Areola between the goal, mate.
So I assume you don't want to see Cresswell start. So what are you wanting to see in the defence then?
I want to see Potter work out what the best thing to do is, but for me, it isn't playing Aaron Cresswell. I just feel like We know what Brentford's threats are. We know what they're like. And if any team is going to potentially exploit the weaknesses of Aaron Cresswell, I think it's this mob that does that. So, yeah, I mean, look, if Todibo was actually ready to start, it makes life a little bit easier to come up with an option. But I watched the press conference about an hour ago, and Potter clearly states that he's back in the squad, but he's not ready to start yet. So, to be honest, it probably is the only option. But I would love him to find something that didn't make that the only option, and him to pull something out of the bag as to a way to mix it up a little bit.
You've been quite singing praises of Soucek recently, so would you continue with him in midfield, and who would you like?
Didn't like that freelo, did I? Do you remember?
No, but that's what I'm saying. So is there a change coming then if you don't like the Andy Irving Soucek combo?
Do you know what? And the other one that you hated was the Soucek, Ward-Prowse and Alvarez.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
But I still think that gives you more than the other options. So
it's under a different manager. It's under a different manager. So
I do think Ward-Prowse has got a point to prove. Is it ready for him to come straight in and start now? It's going to be really tricky, isn't it? It's but you don't, while he's got his towel up and while he's got that bit between the teeth saying, I'll show you that I've still got a role to play here at the top level. You kind of want to give him his chance to show that. So I do want to see him to be given an opportunity to do that at some point. It's probably just not starting against Brentford, to be perfectly honest. So look, one thing that I would say is, while I didn't like it and I felt I just didn't like how we played football with those three in there. I found it incredibly frustrating. Irving becomes something that everybody got behind. It united everyone in voice. And it's clear, actually, that the role that he's playing at the club, he has got a lot of respect from a lot of senior players within the team. And because of that, and off the back of a decent result against Chelsea, on another day things could have been very different. As much as I didn't like it, I would probably give it one more chance just to not upset the apple cart, really.
Yeah.
So
the one thing I'll add about Andy Irving, there was an article that came out in Athletic this week. Now, there was a part of that which said he still drives a Nissan Duke and that he's refusing to get a really expensive motor. But we'll park that, pun intended, because that's not really going to dictate how he plays in a West Ham shirt, what motor he drives. However, there was other aspects of that article. And one of them was that he's one of the last players to leave the training ground every single day. He stays late to do extra work on his own. And he's hired a coach to help him with the athletic side of the game in the Premier League, because he physically wants to be able to compete, and fitness-wise, he wants to be able to compete at the Premier League. So he's gone and hired out of his own back pocket somebody to help him with that aspect of his game. So in terms of his attitude, I think sometimes you deserve an opportunity just based on sort of commitment and attitude and professionalism alone. And I think he's got that, and I think he's got his chance. And I don't think he let himself down at Stamford Bridge. I was okay with how he played. Whether it's enough to keep him in the team, clearly not, because in the preview didn't pick him. But yeah, it'd be, I don't know, because his wages are so little. I think it's a really easy player to keep around at the football club, so that if you're looking at next season, you're looking at the squad and the finances involved with players. Danny Ings is on 120 grand a week. Contract's up, right, there you go. But when it comes to Andy Irving, you think, well, he's on so little, and the transfer fee you'd receive is also so little in regards to the Premier League side of things. It feels like a no-brainer to retain him going into next season as well. It depends on what his ambitions are, but it feels like he's really determined to make it at West Ham. His girlfriend's moved down from Scotland as well to set up home in London so they can have a real good crack at this at West Ham. And I've got a lot of time for that. I'm really rooting for him. It's not just a Scottish thing. That's to one side. I'm really hoping he can step up and become a Premier League player.
Yeah, and just to add there, though, Joe, because I know what the comments would be. I didn't necessarily think he had a bad performance.
No, he didn't.
I just didn't like the three together and how that makes us play football. So yeah, I just wanted to get that across. And self-awareness is massively important. For him to actually look, if any of us were given that opportunity, I'd like to think we'd all go above and beyond and it come out of nowhere for him. It's his big break, isn't it? It's his big chance. And, okay, there's plenty of people who have had their big chance and thrown it away and completely just disrespected the fact that you're lucky to be in that position. But he's doing everything that he can, and he's showing the right attitude. He's showing, the right respect to the football club, the right respect for the opportunity he's been given. So I'm rooting for him. I'm not saying I'm not rooting for him for 1 second, but I just didn't love the football we played with those three in there.
Just quickly then, because the attacking side of the game then, if you want to see Wan-Bissaka wing back, that means you've got Solar, Paqueta, Bowen, Ferguson, Danny Ings. You've got a lot of options for that front part of the team. Which three would you like to see start?
Yeah, well, I think Ferguson, it might come a little bit early for him again. The way Potter spoke, he's not played a lot of football recently, was his biggest comment. I think that makes you feel like...
I feel confident his starting 11 will be Paqueta, Bowen and Kudus. I think that will go up
and that would be my three. Soler, I quite like Soler. I think he's got the right attitude. I actually loved his attitude against Chelsea as well. I thought he was a right wind-up merchant, and he was playing with a smile on his face. And that little run that he had down the left-hand side was just brilliant. He's the sort of character that you need around as well, someone who's got that little bit of something about him. So I like him, but this wouldn't be one where I'd start him. And I think Ferguson, it's just a little bit early. He'll be playing a lot of football. When he says he's not playing, it's match football, isn't it? And that match sharpness, Premier League, it takes a lot. So yeah, I think he needs to get back up to speed. And normally, if we sign someone, I'd be saying we take too long to get him into the team. We've always been guilty of that. But actually, where he hasn't been playing first team football, I think it's a little bit different, and I think patience might be required.
You said it's a must win. My question is, will we win?
Oh, Gio, normally I've got a good feeling as to whether or not we're going to get a result.
You're a positive one every week. I'm the one that's sat here like, I'm not
always
sure.
Fancy us. Do you know what it is, mate? And this is people might be able to relate to this. When you want them to win, West Ham have got a real habit of letting you down. They just do it all the bloody time. And they bucked that trend a little bit recently when it mattered in a final and everything else, and it was amazing. But too many times have I gone really just thinking, please just win today, and they just managed to mess it up. So, look, birthday celebrations with me boy. He's not been for a while. He can't wait to get over there. You just want it to make your day, West Ham winning. And I just know what they're like. So I'm not going to go for a loss, but I've got a sneaky suspicion this one might be a draw.
Ooh, that's the first time. For those tuning in for the first time, that's the first time Frankie hasn't predicted a win for a West Ham game since we started doing these podcasts. And I'm predicting a win. How the tables have turned. So who would have thought it would be recording a podcast with me saying we're going to win and you saying we won't win? I certainly did it. I was confident you were going to give me a victory prediction, but as always, I want your honest prediction, not what you want to happen, because I just assume everybody wants us to win. Anything you'd like to add before we disappear, Frankie? The floor is yours.
No, all good. Just, looking forward to getting back over there again. Last Saturday game for a while, wasn't it, I think?
Yeah, the last Saturday game at the London Stadium until April.
Which is
But we've only got 2 games in March. We don't have many fixtures.
Yeah, so it's a long time. So because of that, even more reason why I'm just really wanting to get over there. I'm really, really looking forward to it. Going to make the most of it. And hopefully it's a good day.
Just quickly, do you still have a 0% win rate, or how'd you get on in your cup? Did you
called off again?
Oh.
Called off again, but we're supposed to be at home this weekend, and they've been draining the pitch. They've had all the sand going down. They're really making a massive effort to get the games on. So, fingers crossed, we will be on this weekend.
Yeah, because that's a 0 win % rate you've been on for quite some time now.
I know. I've not had a chance to turn it around and get a win under our belt. So no, really frustrating. But do you know what, Jess? It was ideal for us. It's given us time to work. still been doing a friendly, like an inter-squad friendly, every Sunday, and we're looking better and better. You know, we're starting to look like a proper team. We've obviously signed those few new boys as well, so 3 new players coming in. So they've had time to familiarise themselves with surroundings. I'm running from here straight up to training after this, so we're going to work hard tonight, and hopefully we can get ready for a big result on Sunday.
Love that. Well, you and your boy enjoy the London Stadium on Saturday. Enjoy your football on Sunday. Next week, hopefully, we'll be discussing a victory for West Ham and Cray Wanderers. Frankie, thank you very much. You guys at home, thank you very much for joining us. If you've enjoyed the video, please use your play comment by clicking thumbs up. Subscribe to Chat, myself and Frankie. Catch you in a bit.